Hey everyone, welcome to episode 12 of You Cannot Rewatch, the Evangelion Rewatch podcast. I am David.
And I'm Dylan.
And we're back again.
And hopefully a little bit more organized than last time.
Yeah. So last week we had our Halloween special. It was different. It was a little different. We were a little...
It was spooky bad.
Yeah, we got off track a lot. So we're going to try to get a little more on track this time. We got a comment. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. It was somebody, because at one point I was like joking around about Ebola or something, and some guy commented on Reddit. It was like,
I saw that.
Ebola, what the fuck are you talking about? And I was just like, man, I don't know. And he responded back with like, that was pretty unbearable or something like that. So yeah, unbearable is a good way to describe it.
That's a good way to do it.
Yeah. So this week we're talking about episode 12 of Neon Genesis Evangelion, the show, and we're gonna talk about it. So this episode is one of my favorites, I think.
Yeah,
I really like this episode. I think I kind of always divide the show into kind of two halves, and the first half is more kind of lighthearted and like setting up a lot of stuff, and the second half is like really dark and heavy.
Yep.
So I think out of like the first half, this is probably my favorite episode. I don't know. I always really like this one. I was really glad that they brought this into the rebuild, because I think that the angel fight in this one is really great with the new animation in 2.0.
Yeah.
But real quick, we actually got a request before we get too far into the episode, just kind of briefly mention, like, just in case some people haven't actually rewatched it and they're just going on their old information, just to kind of briefly say, like, oh, this is what happens in this episode, so that way if people haven't rewatched it, they're like, oh yeah, I know that one. So this is the episode where there's a giant angel in orbit that drops bombs down to plan its trajectory to get to Nerve, and then it actually drops itself, and the Evangelions have to run and try to catch it. That's this episode. Yeah, what do you think about this episode?
As soon as it started, I was like, oh, heck yes, I love this episode. And this is a really good episode. But as I was taking notes and watching, I was like, man, there's just not a whole lot to discuss, because it's just pretty straightforward.
Yes, I agree.
It's no longer Saturday cartoon bullshit, but still, they take that thing down right away. There's a lot of deep emotions kind of going on, but still, like, not a whole lot to really get into.
Yeah, that is true. We don't have a ton. At the beginning of the episode, though, we do see a little bit of second impact, which is really interesting. We haven't actually seen any parts of that yet in the show. We've heard people talk about it.
Right.
But we open up 15 years ago. First off, we get a very Stanley Kubrick-esque shot of the moon looking at the Earth. Obviously Hideki Anno is a big Kubrick fan.
Right.
But we see second impact, a little bit of it. We don't see a lot of it, but we see the giant wings of the first angel, and we see Misato's father selflessly sacrifice himself to save his daughter, which we find out more about a little bit later. But I don't know. I love any time the show shows us a little bit of second impact. I think the show does such a good job with just showing you enough to be like really cool, but never. There's not like a full episode where they're like, hey, we're going to show you every part of second impact. I like that they keep it vague and mysterious, but at the same time, they do show you parts of it.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to handle it.
Yeah, definitely.
So Misato, back in modern times, Misato's got a promotion. She has a little party to celebrate, I guess. Kinsuke decided to throw it since he's such a good guy.
Yep.
I think this might be wrong. I don't know. It's been a while since I watched the show. I think this is one of the big last kind of times we get to see all the classmates kind of happy and together.
I think so, yeah. I think so.
Which we don't know at the time. I'm sure there's a couple other little moments for sure, but I think this is kind of the big last. Everybody's together and we're all kind of happy.
And you can kind of see that fade away some other characters. Like, for instance, Shinji and Misato are both pretty much kind of like, don't really give a crap about all of it. They're kind of just like, whatever.
Yeah, which has kind of always been the way Shinji is. Shinji definitely likes them as friends, but we see his introversion really showing up here, because he just doesn't understand why people would like be running around yelling and having fun. Like that's crazy to him. That makes no sense. Like exactly. This is not the kind of person you would want at a party, because he would just sit in the corner and be like, why is everyone so loud? But, I mean that's how a lot of like super introverted people are, and that's definitely how Shinji is. I guess not really anything else to say about the party. Pretty straightforward.
Well, I had one really, really quick small thing about that. So you watch the sub, Does Asuka speak German in the sub as well?
That's a good question. I think she does sometimes. I can't remember off the top of my head. I should definitely be able to answer that, and I
Okay, because
definitely
I
cannot.
keep coming up, I keep meaning to ask you and I forget. But yeah, she does in the dub version. So I was curious if it's the same in the other one.
Yeah, I definitely remember her doing it in the dub, and I believe she still does, but I can't remember for sure. Part of the problem is like there's a couple like words that she says in German that I know, but a lot of German words I don't know. So if she is speaking in German,
Ah, that's a good
I
point.
don't know. I can't necessarily distinguish it unless
And
it's
it's
like the
it's
words
so
I'm
easy to tell
familiar
in
with.
dub because, of course, one, it's going from English to German,
Yeah.
but they like do like the most stereotypical German accent on it
Yes.
when they do
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah. I think they might do it in the sub now that I think about it, but I think it's blended a little better. Um, but yeah, so then we cut to the South Pole, where we see Gendo and Futsuki, and I believe, if memory serves, they're going there to get the Lance of Longinus at this part. But we don't find that out in this episode. Um, but I'm pretty sure this is the trip where they're doing that. And
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, we get to see because we started out at the beginning of the episode and we saw the South Pole how it used to be, and now we see what that giant second impact did to the South Pole in particular. Because I think other than the episode where we went out to the ocean and we're on all the ships, we haven't been outside of Tokyo 3.
not really.
So,
No.
so we really haven't got to see like what's the rest of the world like. The apocalypse happened. I mean, this city still seems like a city, but what's the world really like? And even though this is just Antarctica, I think it's a cool little shot of like, oh, we get to see a little bit of like what the rest of the world looks like now.
Right. Well, it's also really cool too because I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty certain that the water we see earlier in this series is blue and this one's red.
Yes, that is true. Yes,
And
definitely.
then like when we go to the rebuilds, it's always just red. There is
Yes.
no blue water ever.
That actually we could talk about that a little bit later because we're gonna bring up some stuff about kind of the end of the show and the rebuilds towards
Cool.
the end here because we got an email that I want to talk about, but we'll get to that in a bit. Um, but yeah, so then we find out there's a new angel attacking. It's in orbit, and I don't know. This angel has like a really. I mean, they even say in the episode like it looks ridiculous, but I legitimately like the design of this angel.
Oh yeah,
I
do
think
too.
it looks. It's not like badass or anything like that, but I just think like out of all the angels in the show, it's one of the more unique looking ones. It's definitely memorable. Um, but yeah, and this angel I think is for the first one in a while that felt more like a real threat because we actually see
Yeah.
it's like it's blowing shit up and it's kind of messing with stuff. It destroys the satellite. It's dropping bombs everywhere. So we actually kind of feel like this one might be a little more of a threat. We find out in a conversation between Ritsuko and Misato that because Misato said earlier in the episode she's joined Nerve so long ago she doesn't really remember why she wants to fight the angels, which
Right.
you probably figured that wasn't true when you saw that scene. But we find out later on that it is because, or just possibly because, she wants revenge for the events at Second Impact.
Right.
Yeah. What else? So the pilots, as they're getting ready to go into battle, they have a quick conversation about why they pilot. Shinji's definitely trying to figure that out in this episode. And Asuka tells him that she pilots to, I don't remember the quote exactly, to show her abilities to the world, to just show off. She wants everyone's attention. She wants everyone to think she's the best. That's what she says to him. Shinji says he's talked to her about it, but we don't, that's all we find out in this one. And Shinji
I think you
says
could
that
probably I think you could probably just assume she does it because she's told to. That's pretty much
yes,
why she does it.
definitely. And Shinji says he doesn't know why he pilots, and that he might be stupid. So then we hang on. Are my notes out of order? Oh no. We have a flashback. I forgot. There's a quick flashback to a scene which we didn't actually see happen, but happened I guess the previous night maybe with Misato and Shinji talking about their fathers.
Right.
And Misato actually tells him like, "Hey, I'm actually doing this because my dad, all this stuff." And we find out a really interesting parallel between their two fathers, and we realize these characters are more similar than we might have thought. But also, I think even though we're only learning about Misato's father, a lot of what's being said there is really kind of telling us about Gendo as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Even though obviously there's definitely differences in those characters, I think a lot of the same traits are very clear there, and I think that's the point of that scene is to kind of show like to give a little bit of insight into Gendo without directly revealing character information about him. But But yeah, then so we find out that's kind of why her motivation for the whole thing. And then we go to the actual battle, and there's really good music in this episode. We've never talked about, I don't think, the music on this show. I love the music on Evangelion. I think the soundtrack's like really awesome.
Yeah, most definitely.
And I think the music in this battle is the first time we've heard it in the show, and it's really really good. So yeah, they have this plan. They're gonna go all stand at like 3 areas to cover a massive distance, and then they have to all run. Once the angel gets close enough to kind of tell where it's gonna land, they'll have to quickly run there and try to catch it. And Shinji's the first there, and then the others show up, and it's dealt with pretty quick. This is actually a bigger extended scene in the rebuild.
I was gonna say the same thing. Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is one of those scenes where it's interesting to see kind of how it plays off here and how it is different in the rebuild.
Right, and I think it only played off here like this, just purely off a time constraint,
Yeah, well, and also I think just because like 2.0 was kind of trying to be more action heavy, and the show really wants you to know like, hey, we don't really give a shit about the angels. We're here for the characters.
Exactly.
I think 2.0 wanted to change that a little bit. What else? So they obviously they beat the angel, and Gendo calls and says some very nice words about Shinji. I believe he says like "good job" or something. I don't know.
Yeah, he doesn't even say Shinji. He just says to the pilot of 01.
That's true. He doesn't even call his son by his name.
And it's kind of a good theme too, because I don't know, we didn't really touch on it earlier, but earlier Shinji gets complimented by having such good like improvement or whatever, and Asuka gets jealous, and he kind of makes the comment of like, I hate getting praised because it just pisses people off.
Yes.
And then you kind of see him do completely change on this side by being pretty pleased about it.
Yeah. So it's interesting that he has that kind of different reaction from depending on who's giving it to him.
Yeah, exactly.
But they go out and they eat, and Shinji actually says, I think that's why a pilot is, so that my dad will accept me. Because Shinji still, even though his dad's been like real shitty to him, it's still his dad. He still wants to please his dad, and I think that's probably. I might sound really like I don't know what I'm talking about here. I think that's probably more common in Asian countries than it is in America. The want to kind of follow your family's line and like please your fathers, and I think a lot of those countries still like the son will go into what the father's profession is, like that's just what they're gonna do.
Yeah, I like I said too, I'm probably speaking out loud, but it definitely does seem like more family value oriented, of like pride in the family and all that stuff like that.
Yes, I think even if your father's an asshole, you kind of still are somewhat socially obligated to follow in his footsteps and please him. So I think that's probably a little bit of where that's coming from. But I also wanted to say, when they go out to eat, Asuka orders shark fin with baked pork.
Yep, I was about to say that.
Is that a real dish you can get? Because where can
dude, they do shark fin and ramen a lot. Yeah.
Oh, really? I don't ever eat ramen, but I want to eat shark fin.
We have a ramen place here that does it occasionally on special, but very rarely.
Nice. I've never ate a shark
fin. I've never had it. I've always wanted to, but I've never had it.
I really want to.
They always do it when I'm broke.
Nice. Oh yeah, we found out Ray doesn't like eating meat.
No. Yeah, which we find that in the rebuild, the exact same thing too, but not really a big deal.
Yeah, not really a big thing to her character. I suppose there's some people out there that might think like, well, it's actually really deep because whatever. Yeah, maybe, but like.
Apparently it's important enough to mention twice, but I don't think it's a big deal.
Yeah, I'm sure that like it does suggest things about her, but I don't know. It's whatever. She doesn't eat meat. Some people don't eat meat. Some clones don't eat meat, I guess. But yeah, I mean that's it. That's the episode. We talked about it.
Straight up the episode.
Not a lot else to say about it, honestly. I really, really like this episode.
No, me too. It's a good one. I think most episodes from this point on are pretty good episodes.
I think we've got a couple coming up that are going to be a little bit slower because we've got the recap one coming up. I think that's 14.
I forgot about the
I think next episode is the Angel hacks the computers, and I think then we get the recap.
Right. And then you don't like the Angel hacks the computers, do you?
No. Maybe I'll like it more this time on this rewatch.
I kind of like that one.
But I remember really not liking that episode.
I liked it the first time. Maybe I'll hate it the second time. We'll see.
Okay. And then, after that, we just start... I don't remember what episode 15 is. That one might be a little slower. I can't really remember. But then, 16 and on, everything starts hitting the fan fast. Yeah. So, I'm really excited to get to talk about those episodes. That's really kind of the episodes that I feel like we kind of started the podcast to really get into.
Exactly.
And it's just kind of taken a while to get to those. So, if you've been listening and enjoying, look forward to in a few episodes when stuff starts really getting interesting.
And send some emails and shit about it.
Yeah, that reminds me. So yeah, we did get an email this week, and like I said earlier, we're going to discuss a couple things here in a second outside of the episode. But yeah, so we're done with the episode. We're gonna move on from it. So if you're just watching for that, I guess stop. Um, we got an email from a guy named William, and he's got a couple things here we're going to discuss. But one thing that's interesting, he said that he actually discovered the show. He watched the rebuilds before he watched the show.
Oh, cool.
I don't think I've ever. I'm sure there's probably a good amount of people that have done that, but I've never personally talked to anybody that did that.
Same here.
That's pretty interesting. But it also got me thinking, like, when we first started the podcast, we talked about you and I, how we kind of got into the show. But people who are watching, like, if you're let me start. Wow, I really am forgetting how to talk. If you're a fan of our show, email us or just comment, whatever. We'd like to know how you got started with Evangelion. Like, what was it? The rebuilds? Was it the show? Did your grandma show it to you? How did you get into the show? I legitimately am interested to see how people kind of heard about it and got into it. But yeah, so we're actually going to get into some spoiler stuff here. I know occasionally we'll kind of just blurt out spoilers about the rebuilds because we assume people have seen them and End of Evangelion and all that. You should have seen End of Evangelion. I'll just say that. If you're watching this, you should definitely have seen End of Evangelion. But I suppose there's some people that maybe have not seen the rebuilds. So we kind of try to avoid like major spoilers to those when we talk. I know sometimes we just kind of blurt them out anyways. But just to let you know, going forward, we're just going to straight up like be spoiling stuff and talking about stuff. Because William asked some questions that I would like to talk about. I'm looking at his email right now, so I'm trying to sort through it because there's a lot here. So he has some questions about End of Evangelion. First of all, he had a question about the time loop theory. I guess he says he wasn't really sure what it was. So the time loop theory, if you aren't familiar, basically says that after like Third Impact and all the events of the show, everything starts over. Like the entire like world starts over, and so the rebuilds are further down the line. After the world essentially ended at the end of Evangelion, we have now come full circle and it's all come back around and it's all happening again. And there's a lot of people that think that the manga as well is another one of these cycles. And just over and over and over, the universe keeps going over and over. And that's why in the rebuilds you have stuff like Karu saying, like, this time I'm going to make you happy, and like thinking that this time it's going to be different and stuff like that, because he has carried over some of his prior knowledge of the other occurrences of the time loop.
And to get some crazy theories, even some people think that Karu is like the previous Shinji, but before.
Yeah, there's some really crazy theories.
There's some deep crazy theories.
There's theories that Shinji is the one writing the Dead Sea Scrolls that predict all the angel stuff, and like he changes.
I haven't read that one. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of really, really crazy theories. But yeah, the time loop theory just in general is very popular. I think because there's a lot of signs of it in the rebuilds.
I think if you've just heard of any theories, that's probably the most popular one you've probably heard of.
Yes, in terms of the rebuilds and the relation to the show. That being said, I do think if anybody out there is watching the rebuilds and expecting that 4.0 is going to say one way or the other, that's absolutely not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
I guarantee it. I would bet money that at the end of 4.0, you will not know yes or no on the time loop theory or any other theory you might have. It might, they might still be true, but Anno is not about answering that stuff. If anything, 4.0 is going to raise a lot more questions than it's going to answer.
Probably.
So I think,
you'll probably get some more clues and hints, but you're not going to get answers.
Yes, there will be some finality to it, just like End of Evangelion. Like, I mean, we see like how the story ends. It definitely ends, but it definitely raises a lot more questions than anything. So it's going to be kind of like that, I think. We'll definitely get like a conclusion to the rebuilds. It's not going to end on like 3.0 did, where it just kind of ends on the big like what happens next kind of note.
It's going to be kind of interesting, too, because this could be, like, kind of the first time when you actually have a lot of finality. Like, the manga's done. That's going to be it. Like, there's probably not going to be anything else.
That's true. Yeah, this will.
That's literally going to be the end of Eva, probably.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, hopefully the live action Hollywood movie is still going to happen.
Right.
I remember, it's been a really long time. I remember reading a long time ago that, like, that was, because, people on the internet are always like, oh, I heard it's confirmed now. And, like, I remember hearing people say, like, oh, it's totally confirmed, and I hear Keanu Reeves is going to be in it. It's like, what would Keanu Reeves do in that movie?
Did he be fucking, what's that guy's name? Shinji. Not Shinji. Sorry. The older guy. What's his
Gendo?
name? No.
Kaji?
The Kaji, yeah, kill me
Dude,
Kaji.
no, I want him to be Shinji.
He would be a great Shinji.
I
Just
want-
Keanu Reeves trying to be a little boy.
Yeah, and I don't want them to change the age. I want him to still
No.
say he's 14. And it's
Yep,
Keanu Reeves
I want the
playing him.
two girls to actually look like 14-year-olds and you just have Keanu Reeves trying to look like he's 14.
That would be the best. Dude, we make videos. We should get a hold of Keanu Reeves and ask if he wants to do that. Keanu Reeves is down to do anything. So
He's not doing anything, dude.
yeah, he's not doing anything.
I heard in a recent interview that all the blockbuster like offers are just gone now. So he's like, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, like anytime people are like, because I've heard him like on Reddit, like people have been like, hey, would you want to do this movie? He's like, yeah, whatever, I'll do it. So we'll hit him up. We'll get him in something.
We should. I wish
so
he looked closer because he'd probably do it.
he probably would. Anyways, back on track. Sorry, we
I
got
really
distracted
do think he would, yeah.
by Keanu Reeves, guys. But that essentially that's the time loop theory, excluding the Keanu Reeves part. William had a few questions about End of Evangelion, and I'll let you know, William, if you're looking for like definitive answers, the questions you asked are not ones that have definitive answers. They're not answered in the movie. These are all questions that are like very open to interpretation. So we'll just kind of talk about how we feel about them. One of the ones he asked was, why was Shinji strangling Asuka at the end of Evangelion? And he says that he read that Shinji was trying to confirm that he still was not an instrumentality and he had come back as a human, like he'd materialized again. I don't know. I think
That's what I've heard. That's also the same thing I've heard.
Just that he wants to like confirm that he's
yeah, that's the explanation I heard too. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't personally like that. I guess it kind of makes sense, but to me, I mean, we already saw in Shinji's head in his like, whatever you want to call it, visions or dream state, whatever. He in that movie, like him strangling Asuka. Because Shinji kind of replays moments in his head, and usually when he replays those moments, he remembers them being worse than they are. And we see him replay the scene where we haven't got it here in the show yet. But we see him replay the scene where Asuka and him kiss, but this time he strangles her after she pushes him down and coffee falls all over him or something. So, I mean, I think at this point, Shinji is just so frustrated with everything.
Yeah.
The way he perceives the world and how people react to him is very negative. He doesn't, even the people that do care about him and legitimately show that, he doesn't perceive it that way. Because, like, Misato legitimately shows, like, she does care about him and stuff. But I don't even think he thinks that she cares about him. Like, he just doesn't process things that way. So, especially Asuka, who is so bad at expressing her feelings and everything that she, acts like she hates him. To me, he's just so frustrated with her that, I think the way she interacted with him was a big part of why he decided fuck everybody. Not the only reason. It was kind of how everybody reacted to him.
Definitely.
But I mean, at the end of Evangelion, Shinji straight up says, fuck everyone, they can all die.
Yeah, no, yeah.
That's not verbatim. He doesn't actually say fuck.
Oh, he does.
But he does say they can all just go die. And, I think now that he does decide to pull himself out of it, obviously. But I don't think just because he decided to pull himself out of instrumentality and reform his body, I don't think he's going to be super happy and optimistic about the world now. And so seeing Asuka materialize next to him, I think just kind of re-triggers that like raw emotion and like hatred and, if anything, just confusion about her.
I think confusion's a big part of it.
Yeah. And so I think it's just all of that kind of combined, just like kind of makes him go into that. I don't think it's necessarily like he just wants to see if he's real. I think it's just like all of his frustration, every negative thing has been pinned up the whole series, and now he's just letting it out over and over, and I think he lets it out on Asuka. But yeah, what do you think?
I definitely think that's true. Like, I don't necessarily 100% subscribe to, like, he was just making sure she was real. That's just, like, the only other theory I've heard. To me, when I saw it, I definitely didn't jump to that conclusion. I just assumed, like you said, he was just been so frustrated and, like, confused and didn't know what was going on that was just, like, his straight-up first primal reaction was doing that.
Yeah. I mean, consider everything that had happened to Shinji in that movie.
He just went through, like, so much horrible shit. He just started instrumentality, broke out of instrumentality. I mean, I feel like I'd be like, fuck, I know what's going on. I mean, it makes sense to me. Just he's still a 14-year-old kid at the end of the day.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, and again, like he had played that scene in his head, and he had strangled her. So I think
Right.
mentally, there somewhere in his head, he had made a conscious decision that he
Right.
would do that, and kind of, I don't know if wanted is the right word, but felt an urge to do that. So I think now that he's actually put back with her,
Well,
it kind of
I
comes
also
back.
I also think like you see earlier that Shinji jerks off to her. So I think at the same time, I think he's kind of turned on by that. So I think he also. That's why he
Oh
does it.
well, some girls like to be choked, so maybe it was like
Exactly.
it was a sexual thing. That's it.
He's
Forget,
like, hey, you
forget
like
everything
this?
we said. It's a sex thing.
It's a sex thing.
Let's keep it simple.
Confirmed.
So yeah, on a similar note, he also asks, why was Asuka's response to caress Shinji on the cheek instead of like calling him stupid or like struggling or whatever. That's a good question, and I don't know if I necessarily have as definite of an answer. To me, I guess it's just because like, again, Asuka's been very confused about her feelings for Shinji the whole show. But in this moment, I don't know. I guess she just decides like she sees him. I don't even know how to like articulate the words for it. That's just what she chose to do at that time. I guess that's a shitty answer, but like she definitely likes Shinji. She
Yeah.
really cares about and likes Shinji. She just can't express that well. So I guess in a way, this is her kind of like final attempt to like actually legitimately express that. She's never been able to do that before. So
Right.
her like stroking his cheek is like her kind of finally saying like, "Hey, I know I was like a dick and everything, but like I do like you." Um, but yeah. But then of course when like she gets off of him, she says, and there's actually a lot of discussion on exactly what she says between translations and stuff. It's either something like how disgusting or that's sick or something along those lines. There's actually
Yeah.
a lot of debate over what the line actually means. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think that's she, even though she did show him that and like make that motion, she's still confused about it. So I think her saying like how disgusting or whatever is kind of just like her snapping back into old Asuka of like this whole thing that just happened between us was disgusting.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, like, isn't she like on top of him or something weird like that?
he's on top of her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know something like that.
Although I think when she says the line, I think he like had rolled off of her at that point. I'm gonna bring up a fun fact. I was gonna actually wait to talk about this during End of Evangelion, but we're already here. We're in the conversation, so I'm gonna bring it up now. And I might be remembering this wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. Pretty sure I've got it right. And true, I think a lot of like diehard Eva fans already know this fact. In the original Japanese anime, when they did End of Evangelion, god damn it. The actress was having trouble. I'm pretty sure it's this line. I'm almost positive it's this line, the how disgusting line. The actress was having trouble like getting getting the line exactly right, like, or maybe I can't remember. Like the line wasn't going right, and Ano was like, "Okay, well, let me give you some motivation. Imagine that like I can't remember exactly what he says, but something like imagine somebody breaks into your room at night, and they just jerk off to you, and then you wake up as they're jerking off to you. What would you say? It's something like that. And it's just like." How disgusting! But what's up with Ano? What's that about? That's what we need to discuss.
Right.
What's
It's almost like he's either really fucked up mentally. I mean, obviously he's kind of fucked up mentally. Either he's really a disgusting perv, or he just knows what people don't like and he exploits the shit out of it.
I guess
He's almost
so.
like a Kubrick and Hitchcock in that way, where he's just really good at getting to the emotions he wants out of people.
Yeah. But that's just such a strange note for a director to get.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
in no other behind the scenes for
It
any
would have been
movie or
even better
show
if he
have I
said
heard
like,
that.
"Imagine I'm in your apartment and jerking off." Yeah. Just imagine if he's like, "It was me in your bedroom jerking off." What would you say?
But yeah, that's yeah. Anyways, so William also asked, was Ray's brief appearance physical or in Shinji's imagination? So at the end, well, honestly, a lot of times throughout the show, Shinji sees Rey in a place that she really wouldn't be. Like, it doesn't make sense
Right.
for her to be. I mean, it even happens at the very first episode, as well as at the beginning of the rebuild. He sees Rey across the street. So yeah, he just kind of asks like, I think just what's that about? That is very open to debate. A lot of
It is,
people
yeah.
all constantly wonder what that is. I think the most popular theory that I've read about is people call them quantum rays.
Yep. Or book
And
and raise.
yes, or bookend rays. That's another one. Yeah, and it's a little different, I think. But I can't remember this exactly. It's been a while since I read about it. But I think essentially it says that at the end of Evangelion, when Rey re-merges with Lilith, as well as with since Adam is inside of her, and Third Impact occurs, we see Rey go to everybody and instrumentalicize them, however you would say that. She appears to everybody and also can change her form to kind of look like whoever. But she basically, touches everybody and they turn into the LCL. But a lot of people think that when this happens, the being that Rey becomes when she takes in Lilith and Adam is so powerful that it transcends time. And the rays that we see kind of pop all over the place in that scene just kind of pop throughout time as well. I think this is probably not the best way to describe this, and I may not be remembering exactly right. But yeah, essentially, like, these quantum rays are unlodged from time. The being that Rey becomes in this scene is bigger than time. And so all these rays just kind of appear wherever. I hope that makes sense.
That's basically what I've heard. Yeah, okay. He's asking some really deep questions, so I'm hoping he doesn't think like we're the ultimate authority on these answers.
Yeah, well, yeah. We should always point out that we're really stupid and we don't know what we're talking about. Yeah. And honestly, despite the fact that we run this show, we're probably the worst people to run this show.
That's probably true. I feel like for the most part, we're touching on, I think, what's generally what most people talk about or think.
Yeah, I agree. And again, these aren't questions that there are definite answers to. I mean, I suppose there are. I suppose Anno has these answers, but even if he would be willing to give them out,
I don't believe it.
even if he would be willing to give them out, I'd rather not know. Personally, I like a show that raises questions. I'm not somebody who needs everything answered.
Right. I think the purpose is to make you think, not to like give you answers.
Yeah, I mean, just think about it like this. The show aired in Japan in the mid 90s, I believe, and here we are still discussing what all of it might have meant. To me, that's a better show. There's a lot of other shows that aired all over the world in the 90s or before, or even more recently, that no one is talking about and no one cares about. And that's because we knew all the answers, or we got, that we weren't satisfied by them or whatever. I think a show that asks a lot more of you is a lot more interesting. That's one of the things I like about Evangelion so much.
And I'm sure if we're brutally wrong, Taver probably will message us and correct us.
That's true. Or somebody will, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I think that was all he had, if I remember right. All William had. There might be something else in here. Again, it's kind of a long email, but I think I covered most of it. So I think that's about it. Again, email us or comment or whatever. Let us know how you got into the show, or if you have any input on these theories or anything else, or just want to tell us that we suck. Let us know.
Yeah, love it.
And you can comment on all the usual places. If you're looking for the email, you can find it in the YouTube description. I might try to put a couple links about some of the theories we were talking about in this YouTube description as well. If you want to read more about that and maybe haven't read about some of that stuff yet, or maybe, I don't know, maybe this is the first time you're hearing about it.
Maybe this is the first time you ever heard about Evangelion.
Yeah, maybe you just found this randomly. You thought this was like a rewatch of I don't know, Pokemon, and this was like episode 12 of Pokemon.
Yeah.
Or something.
It's not.
The other great anime out of Japan. To me, there's only two true animes: Evangelion and Pokemon.
Actually, we were talking about it. We're doing a Pokemon rewatch after this one, so.
Oh yeah, I don't know how many episodes they're up to on Pokemon. Probably like 800, 900.
We're gonna contemplate is Ash actually aging? Is he not aging? What's that?
Oh no, I don't even want to talk about that. I just want to straight up just let's not even talk. Let's just record our silence as we watch the episodes.
Right. Cool.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay.
You think? I imagine our audience understands sarcasm pretty well, right?
I think so. I hope so.
I hope so, because I feel like half the jokes we make on this show are really dry and sarcastic because we get that, like you and me. But I hope people don't take us seriously when we say stuff like that.
I really hope so. Yeah, we're not doing a Pokemon recast. If you thought we were, we're not.
And also, I don't think that there's only two great animes in Japan, and one of them is Pokemon.
Also true. Also true.
But anyways, comment, usual places, and next week we're going to be doing episode 13, so rewatch it or re-knowledge yourself on it. and we will see you then.
Bye.